Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to talk about the neuroscience behind robotic affirming. I have made a video similar to this, which you can find in my Law of Assumption playlist. I believe I uploaded this towards the end of 2023, okay? So this video is kind of like a recap or refresher of that video. I know I've also uploaded a couple of videos where I talk about the neuroscience behind manifestation in general. This is going to be targeted towards robotic affirming or saturation or mantra meditation or whatever you want to call it. Okay, so yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and get started and go over my notes. So when you start robotic affirming or engaging in anything repetitively, several changes occur at the level of synapses and neurons in your brain, which is why I always say manifestation is really about reprogramming your subconscious mind more than anything, okay? Because there are times where you may feel things consciously that don't end up manifesting. That's because things are, again, occurring at the level of synapses and neurons in your brain, okay? That things are occurring at the level of your subconscious mind. Okay, it's really what's going on in the back of your brain that ends up manifesting. And if there's something that you see that you don't like, all you have to do is change your wiring, rewire your neural pathways. Okay, neurons that fire together wire together, right? So all you have to do is change the synaptic connections, rewire your neural pathways. And I know this sounds intimidating, but it's really not. The key to doing all of this is to repetitively affirm for whatever it is that you want to see. Even if you don't believe it, it's okay. It's a matter of your subconscious mind internalizing it, okay? And I will stand by that. I know a lot of people have different things to say about that, like, oh, you have to feel things in order to manifest, okay? It's more about you have to internalize things in your subconscious mind to manifest. Because think of they think of the time where you thought that something was going to happen and it didn't end up happening. Maybe you even had a gut feeling that something was going to happen, but it didn't happen, right? So sometimes we'll feel things consciously and they do end up happening, and that's because your subconscious mind and conscious mind they coalesce, okay? They come to an agreement, okay, this thing's gonna happen, so it ends up happening. That's why when you feel certain things are gonna happen and they do end up happening, that's because your subconscious mind and conscious mind are agreeing on that thing, are agreeing that that thing will happen, okay? So yeah, I could give a lot of examples. This is the example that I like giving a lot, when you thought you were gonna fail that test but you didn't fail that test because the teacher ended up curving the grade. That's because your subconscious mind picked up that, oh, this teacher usually curves the grade. Maybe you heard from somewhere at the end of the class, they add up all the points from everything else that you've done. It's not just the finals. I know that's happened to me a lot of times. There were times where I thought I completely bombed the final, but all the extra credit that I've done came through. Sometimes professors will decide to exclude certain questions, right? Or give you bonus points, oh, actually if you answered this, you're gonna get extra credit for this, and we're actually just gonna cancel out this question because most people didn't even know how to answer it. And things just end up working out. At the end of the day, things just do end up working out. It's a matter of saturating your mind, okay? The way things work out is by affirming in your favor, and even if you don't believe it, that's okay. It will still work, okay? Some things we have more resistance to, some things not so much. The things you do have resistance to can be overcome by affirming, okay? Affirming for the opposite of that, or for affirming the self-concept version of that. It's really that easy. And a question that I recently got asked is oh, can we change destiny? So I personally don't believe in destiny. I do think that we have free will in our own reality, but destiny is just a circumstance. Whoa, what just happened? Oh my gosh, I don't know if you guys saw that there were fireworks on my screen. That's actually insane. I've never seen that happen. But okay, maybe I said something that triggered that. Wow, okay, this video is already so magical. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, so destiny is just a circumstance, and circumstances do not matter. Clients will come to me and say, what if this, what if that? None of that stuff matters. Affirming can change that. If affirming can change the structure of your brain via neuroplasticity, I promise you whatever's going on in the external world, which is just a projection of our internal world, can change as well, okay? So yeah, let me go ahead and talk about the rest of the facts that I've compiled here. So there's this aspect called neurogenesis and synaptogenesis. So robotic affirming can lead to the creation of new neurons, aka neurogenesis, and the formation of new synapses, which is known as synaptogenesis. Okay, so that's what I mean by you're changing the physical structure of your brain. There have been multiple studies where scientists actually looked at the brains of monks, people that have meditated, and concluded that their brains changed. Okay, there was a difference in the amount of gray matter in their brain. You can definitely look that up. Okay, I know there's scientific journals that analyze these studies, okay, that prove that this stuff is real. So you can definitely look that up on your own time. When you robotically affirm, when you saturate your mind, there's also changes in your brainwave activity. Robotic affirming or saturation can change the brain's electrical activity, which increases coherence and synchronization in certain brainwave patterns. Okay, so electrical activity, you guys, our brains are electric in nature. I read somewhere that our brains actually have enough electricity to generate a light bulb. Okay, so when you affirm for certain things, you're emitting a certain signal, okay, that's reaching reality, that's reaching the people, the things that you're affirming for, and changing the 3D, changing it to work in your favor. Okay, that's also something that I have written down on the notes section of my phone. Every time I forget, that, or not really forget, but maybe I'm feeling a little bit demotivated, or I'm just robotically affirming and I'm feeling bored or something, I'll just look at it and be like, oh, actually, my brain's electrical in nature. Oh, my brain is changing its structure when I affirm. Because some people will just robotically affirm and they'll get really bored, and then they'll start questioning themselves, is it working? So having something in front of you where, again, something that you can look at to reinforce your faith in manifestation, via scientific facts, definitely helps a lot. Okay, so definitely do that, because there's so many facts about manifestation, so many neuroscience facts that I've compiled over time, so many success stories. Okay, it's hard to remember every single one, so having that written down somewhere really helps a lot. And I know I say this thing pretty much every other video, but I feel like my manifestations have been coming in fast, and I've been able to keep my manifestations, okay, without really doing too much, by just literally remembering, oh, okay, my brain's electric in nature. When I do this, I know that I'm emitting a signal that's reaching other people, that's reaching the community and environment that I'm in, the community around me and the environment that I'm in, and I know it's making a difference. I know that my brain is changing its structure. Okay, so that definitely helps a lot. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is long-term potentiation, LTP. So this is the process by which synaptic connections become stronger with frequent activation, aka repetitive affirming, robotic affirming. LTP is a fundamental mechanism for learning and forming memories. Okay, repeating affirmations can enhance LTP at the relevant synapses. Okay, the relevant synapses being the synapses that are associated with whatever you are affirming for. Okay, so this definitely is working, even if you don't see it right away. What you're engaging in is long-term potentiation. So I always tell clients that, hey, even if it's taking weeks or months for you to manifest, you are changing your brain for the long term. So when you're affirming for something, okay, and again, you've been at this for weeks, maybe months, that thing, not only is that thing going to come in, it's going to stay. It's here to stay because of LTP, long-term potentiation, right? That's how a lot of people that, maybe had no money, they were in debt, they had negative dollars in their bank account, are now rich, are now multimillionaires, and they're able to, keep that money because of long-term potentiation. They form neural pathways where they were able to, really internalize that, hey, I can keep my money. I have enough to support myself. I'm able to even I'm able to surpass certain thresholds, right? Same with dating. Some people are just it never goes past 2 dates, or I'm always stuck in a situationship, it doesn't go further than that, or I always reach a certain point in my relationships and things just end up ending. So these are all patterns, these are all circumstances, and you can transcend these circumstances by just affirming for whatever it is that you're affirming for, and continuing to do that until you see your full manifestation. That's why you'll always hear people say things like keep affirming. You see a circumstance, keep affirming. You see things working in your favor, keep affirming until you get that full manifestation and you have it. And when you have it, express gratitude, or act say present present term. Oh my gosh, I feel like gratitude's the best. Okay. Yeah, you can also just say like affirmations that imply that you have that, you know, thing in the present moment, right? So, oh, I'm so grateful that I have this, or isn't it wonderful that I have this thing, in order for you to keep it. Okay, this stuff definitely does work. Sometimes you won't even have to do that. Okay, like I like expressing gratitude because that's just, you know, who I am. But I know there's a lot of people that are financially stable in life that, you know, don't do any of this. They don't really express gratitude. They haven't even affirmed for more than 5 minutes in their life, that are able to keep all the abundance and blessings that they've acquired in life that maybe they didn't have before. Okay, so if those people can keep it, you know, have all these blessings, you can as well. If you're consciously manifesting, this has no choice but to work. Okay, so again, long-term potentiation. I really hope that this encourages those of you that feel like you've been at this for so long and you haven't been seeing movement, because once it comes in, I promise you, it's going to be here to stay, because at that point, your brain will have changed so much. Okay, the structures of your brain, you know, will have drastically changed. You know, you will have formed new synapses, new neural pathways that, you know, like reality will have no choice but to reflect that new structure, right? Like you change. Again, reality is kind of like a hologram. Your brain is the projector, and the thoughts you feed it are what's being projected onto the hologram, aka reality. Okay, so yeah, you just need to keep affirming until you see that hologram like fully intact. I literally just pictured like one of those like old movie projectors in like the, I think, 1930s or 40s that had like, you know, maybe they were like projecting the thing on the screen, right? Like you know, Charlie Chaplin, like, you know, those like old time films that were like black and white. Maybe they had some like scratches on the film, but like, you could still see the film, right? But then like the film quality got better. There was more technology. Things were in color. Okay, there were no like scratches on the projector, right? Like that's like significant of you getting your full manifestation. Sometimes you'll get movement. Sometimes you'll get a lot of movement, but maybe there'll still be like scratches on the screen. Maybe there's some circumstances still linger. You need to keep going until you can finally get that, you know, full film in color that's like, you know, smoothly running. That's not making like that, you know, projector noise in the background. Okay, so yeah, I don't know why I just... yeah, I really like that example. It made me so nostalgic for like the old times. Yeah, but the next thing I wanted to talk about is brain region modulation. Robotic affirming or saturation, anything you do repetitively, activates certain brain regions. For example, positive affirmations can engage your prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for rational thinking, conscious thinking, you know, your decision-making skills, okay? And there's also a part of your brain called the amygdala, which is the, you know, feelings part of your brain that has like, you know, that's responsible for detecting threats, but that's also associated with like, you know, feeling pleasure, right? So it's like, again, just the feeling section of your brain, the feeling region of your brain that can that's responsible for both. I feel like it's connected to the nervous system, right? So like when you detect a threat, you know, things are happening in the amygdala, which you know, is making your nervous system react a certain way. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, that's just what I learned about that, right? So something that really helps is to robotically affirm while you're walking. Okay, so this is a fact that I've shared a couple of times, so maybe you already know what I'm getting at here. But when you're walking, when you're exercising, your eyes are actually moving all around, right? And there's actually a form of therapy called EMDR, eye movement desensitization, EMDR, eye movement desensitization, I forgot what the R stands for, reticulars, something like that. Yeah, someone, you know, if you know what EMDR stands for, let me know in the comments below. It's been a while since I've actually thought of that term, but yeah, EMDR, you know, when you're moving your eyes, what you're actually doing is you're decreasing the receptors in your amygdala that are associated with threats, that are associated with like fear. Okay, so you're decreasing the fear receptors in your brain, you know, which are in your amygdala. And when you do that, you know, you're essentially reducing resistance when it comes to your manifestation. That's why I feel like, you know, exercising in general helps a lot. Okay, it's so healthy for you in every way possible. It's healthy for your brain, you know, good for like other aspects of your body, right? So that's why like going on like walks while robotically affirming helps so much. Okay, just look up the connection between EMDR and the amygdala, and you can read like papers on it if that's something that you're interested in. Okay, again, just to summarize, it decreases the fear receptors in your brain. And I'm not saying you need to be like completely like high vibrational or have no fear in order for you to manifest, but like when you do have less fear, when you're not operating from that like sort of mindset or headspace, then you just have more space, right? Like more headspace, energy, whatever you want to call it, to create your desired reality. Okay, so that definitely does help a lot. You don't need to do this. Okay, you can literally just like affirm from your bed while you're sitting, while you're working, and it'll still work. Okay, but this is just something that I feel like will help a lot. So just try walking and affirming, or running and affirming, and obviously do this so like that you're do this in a way where you're safe. Okay, if you're operating like heavy machinery or something, then yeah, it can get distracting to affirm. So yeah, maybe don't do that. Just use common sense. But that's something that I wanted to share here. And yeah, the other thing that I want to talk about is reduced cortical rivalry. This concept suggests that when one neural pathway is strengthened, it suppresses connecting or competing pathways. Okay, when a couple of neural pathways are being strengthened, what's essentially going on is that competing neural pathways are being suppressed, or they're being weakened. This is what it means to replace your old programming with new programming. Okay, so when you robotically affirm, what you're essentially doing is like the deep-rooted fears, beliefs that you have about whatever it is that you're manifesting are going to be replaced by those new neural pathways. And you'll reach a point where the old story, right, for whatever it is that you're manifesting is going to be completely obliterated, like annihilated. Okay, because that pathway is just not going to be strong enough to function. Okay, for example, like there's self-made millionaires who came from nothing that are now millionaires, and what's going on in their brain is that the old pathways, okay, that were associated with fear mindset, a poverty consciousness, has been replaced by a new consciousness. They're more conscious of the good things that money can do for them. They're operating from an abundance mindset. Okay, they've raised their level of consciousness, or they've raised their awareness to the reality where they're a millionaire or a multimillionaire. Okay, so that's how robotic affirming really works. Okay, the old neural pathways, even when it comes to relationships, maybe the old pathways had to do with you not being picked, you not being chosen, relationships not working out for you. When you affirm things like, I'm always in happy, healthy relationships always work out for me, I'm so lucky in love, I'm so abundant in love. Okay, even all the memories that you have of like negative things that have happened to you in love are just not going to trigger you as much anymore, because the new programming is suppressing that old story. The new neural pathways that you're creating are just like suppressing and weakening those competing neural pathways. Okay, so that's why this stuff definitely works. When you do robotically affirm, even if something negative comes up, you're just not going to get triggered, or like even if you get triggered, it's not going to affect you for a long time. It's just going to feel like a vague memory in the past, like, oh, okay, that happened, whatever, it doesn't affect me now because I have this newer, better programming. Okay, so yeah. So when you recite positive affirmations, this reduces the strength and negates the unhelpful thought patterns that you have. Okay, so anytime something triggering does come up, if at that moment you can replace that with a more positive thought or the new story, right, you're like annihilating, you're completely obliterating those old neural pathways. So that's also really important. Sometimes when you feel really stressed, when you have like heightened emotions, that's actually the best time to manifest and create new neural pathways. Okay, use those feelings, transmute that quote unquote energy, or whatever you want to call it. Energy for me, vibrations, all of that is just like the frequency of like the types of thoughts that you're having. Okay, like use that and make it work in your favor. Anytime I get triggered or anxious, I do take some time to calm down, and then I in the notes section of my phone, I'll have certain affirmations for certain things that I get triggered about. Like maybe if I'm getting triggered about a third party, I'll say things like, no one compares to me, I'm irreplaceable. Maybe if I'm getting, triggered about like time, like, oh, why is this taking forever? I'll say things like, nope, I always manifest instantly. Time isn't even real. I'll just remind myself that, okay, 3D is an illusion. I'm giving too much into the 3D, right? Because like, that's also another thing, you guys, like our brains create the 3D. You are the, creator of the 3D, the conscious creator of the 3D. Or some people, like, if they don't think they create the 3D, just whatever is going on in the 3D is what you're aware of, and you can change that. You can change whatever's going on by literally just affirming against it. When in doubt, self-concept it out, okay? And the more you do this, the more frequently you do this, the faster changes occur. And they're here to stay as well. That's also another beautiful thing. Like, you will be able to keep your manifestations, get them to full fruition, keep them for good every time you do this. Like, this is something that takes a little bit of practice. This does take some conscious thinking on your part, and we're lucky enough in this day and age to have like tools at our disposal, right? Like I have my phone, I have like my Google Drive, my Google Doc available for me, and I'll like, maybe I've compiled all the stories that I've read about certain things, right? Like how the things that you're manifesting for, like SP for example, they don't have free will, and that 3D is an illusion. When the 3D is like really bugging me, like, oh, they're doing this unfavorable thing, I'm seeing this unfavorable circumstance, I will literally read those stories. I will literally read my affirmations, that I've created for like very specific events that happen in the 3D, or just my thoughts, even, for me to replace them with a story that's more conducive to the progress of my manifestations. Okay, so definitely try doing that. I have like 3 more facts, topics that I want to talk about. The other thing that I want to talk about is the formation of neural pathways. Okay, so with repetition, a set of neurons that represent the thoughts you're affirming begin to form a more robust network. Okay, when you affirm, you're literally strengthening, not only are you creating neural pathways, you're strengthening them every single time you affirm. So this is another reason why this works. Okay, like when you robotically affirm, like you're adding to that base, you're adding to that foundation. You may think nothing's happening, but I'm sort of, I like literally pictured a building. Okay, like every single robotic affirming affirmation that you recite or script or whatever, you're like putting bricks, okay, on this like building that you're building, and eventually it'll reach to wherever you want it to be. You'll have that entire building, aka your entire manifestation, right? So like, even think of like construction, when people start building like the base of the building, and they have all these grand plans for what they want this building to look like. Maybe when they're building the base, they'll be like, okay, I feel like we've barely gotten any work done, barely seeing any progress. But the thing is, like, if that foundation, if that base, even if it doesn't look like it's a lot, if that's not secure or strong enough, then how is the rest of the building going to stand, right? So that's why, like, when you when you affirm robotically, when you saturate your mind, when you engage, even like, people call this like prayer, what you're doing is like you're building like, the base for your manifestation. You're building a very strong foundation for your manifestation, and at that point it just gets easier and easier. I feel like once you have a very strong base, the rest of the pieces just fall into place. So yeah, this network. Okay, so the thoughts you're affirming begin to form a more robust network. This network becomes more efficient with each repetition, making the thought easier to trigger. Okay, so this is also another thing. When you, for example, like when I think of money, right? Like I have a good concept when it comes to money. What that's doing is it's triggering, the synapses that have to do with my associations of money. So anytime I hear the word money, maybe I even like see money, maybe I see like gold or things that like, signify money to me. There's certain thoughts that are being triggered in my mind, okay? And those thoughts are, responsible for like, what the future looks like when it comes to money. So every time I think of money, I try to think of positive things, like, oh, money is a good thing. It works in my favor. There's ways to ethically make and keep money, okay? So that's also something you have to do with whatever it is that you're manifesting. When you think of relationships, when you think of love, when you think of men, women, whoever you're into, what do you think of? Where does your mind go to? When you see happy couples on the street, what's your first thought? And if your first thought is like, oh, I'm getting the ick, they're doing too much PDA, yet you're trying to manifest an SP to like you're manifesting love, then you might want to change that. You might want to be like, okay, this is a happy couple. If I see a happy couple, that's a sign that I'm getting my manifestation, okay? And even if at first you react, it's okay, just change that on the spot, and soon it'll be easier to trigger those thoughts, that are more conducive to your manifestation, okay? The second to last thing I want to talk about is synaptic strengthening or Hebbian plasticity. Neurons communicate at synapses. Synapses are basically places where neurons connect and communicate with each other. So neurons that fire together, wire together. If two neurons are repeatedly activated at the same time, the synapse between them strengthens. This process is known as Hebbian plasticity and is crucial in learning and memory. When you repeat affirmations, the neurons associated with these thoughts strengthen our connections, okay? That's like the basis of building new neural pathways. Maybe you could have seen that visual of these two brain cells, or these two neurons that start connecting. It's a really cool thing. Just look up neurons connecting image or neurons connecting video, neurons connecting GIF. Okay, that's literally what, or GIF, that's literally what happens when you robotically affirm. Okay, those neurons start like connecting, even if they were far apart. Like there's a string that connects them, and the more you keep affirming, the more they'll just converge into one. Okay, and then you'll create a new neural pathway. And I feel like things just get easier, you guys. I feel like there's certain things in my life that I just do not have to affirm for anymore. I've seen success stories with other people doing the same. They used to affirm a lot for this one thing, but they have it in their life, and here and there they'll express gratitude for it, or tell their brain oh, isn't it cool that I have this thing, and they were able to still keep that and maintain that in their life. That's also an affirmation you can say, anything good that comes into my life is so easy for me to sustain. It's so easy for me to sustain this positive momentum, or this momentum of thinking positively. It's so easy for me to keep this thing in my life. It's so easy for me to keep money. It's so easy for me to be in long-term relationships. Okay, it's so easy for me to consistently receive contact. Whatever is going on, you guys, I promise you, just self-concept it out. There is an affirmation for everything that's going to dispel whatever circumstances in your way. I don't remember if I talked about it in this video, because this is literally my 20th time filming this. I've tried to film this video so many times. So maybe I already talked about this. I don't even remember. I've been talking a lot today. But there's this whole concept of a destiny, right? So that can be changed, because that can be changed, because at the end of the day, that's just a circumstance. Destiny is just so some people don't even know what that means. Some people aren't even that conscious of it, or they haven't really internalized it. I know some people deeply believe in that, whatever God has written for me, or the universe has written for me, is something that I need to follow. I personally think, just me personally, and you don't need to believe this if you don't. I know some religious people might have different perceptions, and that's okay. We're all allowed our own opinions. I respect everyone's opinions, right? I don't think that anything is written for me. I believe that I create my destiny, and I believe that if there's something in your destiny that you don't like, maybe you got your birth chart done, maybe you went to a tarot reader and they said this is going to happen, and you really believe that, you can change that by affirming. I do think you can change the outcome of your birth chart, the outcome of reading, by literally affirming. Okay, even the best birth chart interpreters, astrologists that I've gone to, I live in New York, and there's some really good ones, have said that no amount of astrology, tarot, divination is ever going to 100% tell you what's going to happen. It's all up to you. Okay, I know some people have literally changed the outcome of their birth chart. Maybe it turned out they didn't even really believe in tropical astrology, because there's different types of birth charts, right? There's the Western birth chart, there's, I think that's tropical astrology, Western astrology, and then there's Vedic astrology. So I got my Vedic astrology birth chart done, and it was a lot more reflective of what I had been affirming for all the work that I've been doing. But I didn't know about I didn't really look into my Vedic birth chart until after I started affirming. And I was wait, I relate way more to this, and I like this more, okay? Because I just liked the things that I talked about, and I was oh my gosh, I literally manifested the concept of a Vedic birth chart. And I myself, I'm Indian, and I'm just maybe I relate to this a little bit more, because I was born there and stuff, and I was you know what, I like this. But even then, I'm just whatever that birth chart says, if there's something I don't like, I'm just going to affirm affirm against it. Okay, so yeah, but that's just a story I wanted to tell you. Like, you know, I got my birth chart done. There were certain things I didn't like about my birth chart. You know, I like, this was like my Western birth chart. Then I came across my Vedic birth chart, or, you know, like I looked up certain things like my nakshatras and stuff, and I was just like, wait, like this is again way more reflective of the things that I had been focusing on and affirming for at that time. And I thought that in itself was a really cool manifestation. Yeah, I thought that was a really, like, oh, I changed like the you know, my destiny in that way. Okay, so yeah, anyways, let me go ahead and read. I don't even know what fact I'm on. There were just so many. Okay, yeah, neurons that fire together, wire together. Destiny can be changed by affirming. Any outcome can be changed. You could get like a really quote unquote bad tarot reading, a scary tarot reading where you feel like, you know, fear, and that can be completely changed. Okay, maybe it was accurate at the time, but you know, if you change your energy, aka the frequency and quality of your thoughts, you can completely change that. Okay, the amount of tarot readings I've gotten that did not end up coming true, and trust me, they were saying like the most fear-mongering things, is too many to count. That's why like I don't really get that many tarot readings. Like maybe if you know, I just kind of want to see where I'm at, I'll get it, because sometimes they're even a reflection of your limiting beliefs. If you get a certain tarot reading and the outcome is bad, or they say something negative, that could just be a reflection of your limiting beliefs. That could be a reflection of, you know, what spiritual people like to call your shadow self, aka like, you know, maybe the negative things that you have within you that came out in that tarot reading. I'd actually rather get like a bad tarot reading or a fear-mongering tarot reading or a nightmare rather than you know, experience that thing in my 3D. Some people have even asked me like, what do nightmares mean when it comes to manifesting? What do dreams mean? So if you get a bad dream about like whatever it is that you're manifesting, maybe you're manifesting your SP to love you and commit to you, and in your dream you see them with someone else, or they say something triggering in your dream, it's like your subconscious has been purged. Those negative thoughts have been purged in your dream, and that's not going to happen in your reality. However, if you see a positive dream, okay, like your SP said they love you, they're into you, and you're in a committed relationship with them, that's a sign that your thoughts have impressed onto your subconscious mind. Maybe you're just like, okay, that's so delusional. How come you're assigning one meaning to this and another meaning to something else? Like, that's literally what it is. You need to assign a positive meaning to whatever's going on, or you need to assign a meaning that's conducive to your manifestations. Okay, so that's literally how I see things. You know, Delulu is just a Lulu, and I think yeah, like you just have to be like as positive as possible. Okay, even if you don't believe it, it's okay, just say it anyways. You have nothing to lose by doing that. Okay, just make everything work in your favor. And when I say you have to be positive, don't think you need to be happy or high vibration all the time. I'm just saying, if you see a certain circumstance, just make it work in your favor. Like, oh yeah, you know, this person is actually obsessed with me. You know, they didn't you know, maybe your SP's not responding, you know, they're ghosting you. They're thinking about me all the time. You know, they're just like going through something. Of course they're going to text me. Maybe you know, they're saving this for later so they could text me later because they didn't know what to say and they wanted to sound interesting to impress me. Okay, like that's how you need to be when it comes to manifesting. Okay, so yeah, then the next fact I wanted to share is that increased neurotransmitter release, such as dopamine and serotonin. So when you robotically affirm, you know, when you repeat positive affirmations, when you repeat anything, you know, that's good for you, that, you know, you like doing, that makes you happy, that can lead to an increased release of neurotransmitters such as dopamine and serotonin, which is linked to mood regulation. That also enhances positive feelings that are associated with your affirmations. Okay, so I read somewhere, this is actually a tweet on Twitter, where this person said that like robotic affirming literally helped heal their nervous system, because I do think robotic affirming is a form of meditation. Meditation definitely helps regulate your nervous system, and I'm not saying you need to have like a completely regulated nervous system. You need to be happy and positive and perfect and 100% healed to get all your manifestations. But I have found that when I robotically affirm, I go into the sort of like meditative state. I feel like my brain waves are in alpha at that moment, right? Like that's the same thing with like mantra meditation, and you know, I just feel a lot better. I just like feel a lot more regulated. I'm just getting less triggered. I'm reacting less, and you know, it is a great way to calm down your nervous system. That's why, you know, people say when, you know, you're panicking, you're in panic mode, you're getting triggered, literally just start robotic affirming. Okay, that's a way to like not only, you know, like get your manifestations, but also regulate your nervous system. It's kind of like two birds, one stone. So it's like whenever I see something like triggering, maybe there's like a third party or something, I'll be like, no one compares to me, I'm irreplaceable. No one compares to me, I'm irreplaceable. Then I get into this meditative mode. You know, I just feel a lot better, and that third party just goes away. You guys, the amount of like circumstances I've manifested out of my life just because I refused to react in that moment is too many to count. Okay, like even if you want to react emotionally, it's okay, it's fine. Just try not to react in the 3D, although that can be changed as well. Okay, whatever happens, like you're human, it's okay. Take some time to process those emotions, but then get back on affirming. Okay, and like literally just, you know, take notes on everything I said. Have like, you know, your notes section handy in front of you, you know, as you're affirming, or maybe like, you know, you're seeing the 3D, right? I like to see the 3D as a different dimension, and you affirming as, you know, another dimension, and your like notes as sort of like a like cheat sheet or like a life hack, or, you know, like a whatever you want to call it, to help you navigate the 3D. Like, you know, when you're when you take like an open note exam and there's a certain question, or maybe when you're doing your homework, you know, you like reference your textbook, like, oh, this question is talking about this, where in this textbook does it, you know, reference whatever is being asked in this question, right? Like that's what I like to do as well. Okay, I saw this thing in my 3D, or maybe it's not even something that I saw in my 3D, maybe I'm feeling triggered because I feel like it's taking too long to manifest, or I feel like, you know, there's a lot of like, you know, circumstances, or maybe I'm not seeing like movement. I will literally look up, you know, every single thing I've compiled, and be like, okay, you know what? And I like labeling these things as well, and maybe make like a table of contents, like, okay, getting triggered in the 3D, read this and say this. Okay, so at the end of the day, like, you're essentially becoming your own manifestation coach. You have like, you know, this encyclopedia or like this cheat sheet handy for whenever you're, you know, going through these things. And every time you do that, every time you get triggered, annoyed by the circumstances, whatever, like, I feel like the faster like you get your manifestations, the closer you get to getting your manifestation. So just do that, you know, try it out. Do that for at least like a month. Okay, like, I mean, I would say like this should be a lifelong thing, but I started like diligently doing this. I even made like my affirmations my wallpaper on my phone, because I do track my phone a lot. You know, anything that you look at a lot, maybe there's like, you know, a certain book that you're reading, like literally like just put like a sticky note and like use that as like a bookmark. Okay, yeah, I mean, get creative. Put sticky notes on your mirror. I have a lot of like tarot cards. I have like my desk, and I put affirmations like everywhere. You can't see them right now, but like I have like I have sticky notes in the bathroom, on my vanity mirror. I have some on my, what do you call, like, I like making smoothies. I literally have one like near my blender and near my like vitamins and stuff like that. Okay, my door. Okay, because like, you know, I like leave the house like pretty much every day. So yeah, I know this might sound like a lot, you don't need to do all of this to manifest, but it definitely helps. I know when I was in school, when I was studying for exams, I would do all this. Like, I would have like notes for like the different, you know, sections that I studied, and I would end up passing it. Like, even if I felt like I didn't know anything on the exam, I just feel like my subconscious mind was internalizing and absorbing, you know, all the facts that I'd written down. And that's the same thing with manifestation. Anyways, I have talked a lot. I do want to let you know that I have a self-concept challenge going on my Patreon, where I give you self-concept affirmations to robotically script and affirm. I also offer in-depth tarot readings if you want to see where you are at with your manifestations, or, you know, your subconscious mind. I offer or I custom make subliminals to help you manifest. I offer manifestation coaching, and I also have a guide out on my Etsy that you can use to manifest soulmate love, new love, a specific person, okay, just love in general. Okay, so all of that can be found in my website, which will be in the description box below. And yeah, I intend that every single person watching this video gets their manifestation to full fruition for the good of all and harm to none. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all next time.